He drove cross-country for decades, sleeping in the back of his cab, watching sunrises from rest stops, and counting mile markers instead of hours. No one saw him as wealthy. Most people thought he'd die on the road. But when he turned 55, he hung up his keys and retired early, with more money in the bank than anyone ever guessed. His secret? He didn't gamble on stocks, didn't chase crypto. He just invested every paycheck and lived far below his means. Before we unpack how he did it, take a second to breathe in this story, because it might just change how you think about money forever. This is Wealth by Noah, where the quiet become kings and the underestimated become unforgettable. If stories like this speak to you, hit subscribe and stay until the end, because the best part is always the lesson. His name was Marvin Taylor, born in a small town in Georgia. He learned about work early, hauling bales on the family farm, fixing engines with his dad in the heat of summer. He never cared for school. So at 18, he got his commercial license and hit the road. He spent years behind the wheel, driving coast to coast, hauling freight, hauling furniture, hauling anything for a fair wage. Sometimes weeks would pass before he saw a familiar face. The only constants were the sound of the engine, the taste of truck stop coffee, and the feeling of the open road stretching out before him. Marvin kept a worn notebook in the glove box, jotting down every dollar spent, gas, meals, repairs, and every dollar earned. He made a promise to himself, never to waste a penny. Every night, he parked in the cheapest lot, ate simple food, canned beans, bread, black coffee, and always skipped the bars and the games the other drivers loved. While others upgraded to bigger trucks, he drove the same old rig, paid off in full, no loans, no debts. He'd listen to radio shows at night, staring up at the stars through the windshield, thinking about the life he wanted, quiet, safe, free from worry. Every extra dollar Marvin saved, he sent straight to a retirement account. He started with mutual funds, simple index funds, and never tried to pick winners. He didn't have a fancy phone, didn't care about the latest gadgets. He just called his mother every Sunday, told her, still out here, still saving. He spent holidays on the road, birthdays in distant states. But he never complained because he knew every mile was a step closer to freedom. Over the years, Marvin watched drivers come and go. Some got caught up in spending, chasing bigger paychecks, fancier toys. But Marvin kept it simple. He tracked his net worth like some people track their favorite teams. He let compound interest do the heavy lifting and stayed out of trouble. No divorces, no gambling, no get-rich-quick schemes. Sometimes he'd wake before dawn, step outside into the cold air, and remember what it felt like to be truly alone. Just him, the truck, and the road. By 50, his investments had doubled. By 53, he was debt-free. And at 55, he ran the numbers one last time and realized he never had to drive another mile. He sold his truck, bought a modest house by a lake, and finally slept in his own bed. Now, Marvin spends his mornings fishing, his afternoons reading, sometimes volunteering at a food bank, and every evening he takes a slow walk through his neighborhood, waves to the kids riding bikes, and smiles, knowing what most of them will never guess. He plants tomatoes in the backyard, learns a new recipe every month, writes letters to old friends, and still keeps that same notebook, just with a few more zeros on the last page, that the old truck driver with the quiet eyes, is one of the wealthiest men in town. He never flaunted it, never felt the need to prove anything, because for Marvin, freedom was the goal all along. If you asked him today what he's most proud of, he wouldn't mention money. He'd just say, "I never let the road own me. I owned my life." If this story moved you, share it with someone who thinks their job isn't enough. And subscribe for more stories of quiet power and hidden greatness. 'Cause sometimes the man who retires first is the one nobody saw coming, and sometimes the richest journey is the one taken mile by mile in silence.